So if you're an insurance agent right now, you need to be a local connector. So you need to know the local financial advisor or multiple, the local real estate agent or multiple, the local title, the local mortgage. We all know them, right? They're all in our communities. You need to be partnered with them. How do you do it? Well, most people do it the exact same way. Hey, let's, be synergistic. Let's share referrals. Do something for them before you ask them to do anything for you. Go to them and say, hey, I'd love to advertise you in my magazine to my database. I love to put you in there on the back cover. It's total reciprocity, totally free. Hey, I want to support you. My brother, he's a big time real estate agent, top 1% in the nation. His first year in the business, he took it to his landscaping company and said, hey, I want to partner with you. I want to feature you guys in my magazine. In exchange for that, they blasted him out to their 10,000 person list that they had and put him on their road sign. And he ends up closing his 35 deals in his first year. The average agent today only does like 7 deals a year. And he did 35 in his first year. Last year, he did 220 deals.
Hey, welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. Today's special guest all the way from Philly. Don't hold him against him that he's an Eagles fan, but the dude is a ridiculous marketer and helping agents and advisors stay known, recognized, and drive referrals like crazy into your business. If that's not an introduction, I don't know what is. Please welcome to Power Player Podcast, Mr. Luke Acree from Remindermedia.
Cody, it is good to be here, man. I love you, brother. Love your stuff. Feel honored to be part of the show.
Dude, you too, man. You've had me on Stay Paid. You guys have a podcast. It's like, dude, it's like top 10 marketing podcast. But you've done like 4,000 episodes probably by now.
Not quite. More like, I think almost 500. But yes, it feels like 4,000.
It's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Funny thing about that podcast too is nobody listened for literally 3 years, almost 4 years. Like nobody listened. I'm sure you've experienced this too. It's like you put out content, nobody views, nobody likes, nobody listens. And it's like, 2 years in, you start doubting yourself. Maybe people start doubting yourself sooner, but like 2 years in, you start doubting yourself. And now it's one of our biggest lead generators. But what's even crazier, it's like it's getting me now speaking places. Like that's how ultimately you and I started doing more stuff together, was through that relationship and all that stuff. So it's weird how that stuff works. That testament of like, I heard the saying the other day, consistency is undefeated.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that is the truth. Just got to keep pounding it out.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Also, too, like that's how I felt about YouTube, man. 3 years, nothing, nobody. And it's interesting. You say, most people at 2 years would start having self-doubt or even sooner. Dude, most people it's freaking 2 days. Yeah. But for you, it's like 2 years in, you're just still pounding away, I was thinking about that this morning, man. I'm like, dude, you're someone I look up to. You're a leader. You're running a massive organization, hundreds of staff, almost 1,000 staff by now, probably. Tens of millions in revenue, like a very big shop, that's helping a lot of people in a lot of different industries. And like at your level, you have to just constantly push and fight and claw and do whatever it takes to win, to lead an army of people and to help a ton of entrepreneurs and business owners. How did you become the Luke Acree that you are today?
Well, first off, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm a little nervous. How, gosh, you're looking up to me. That makes me think differently. No, oh man. Now I think it's, what's difficult is I don't really know. Here's what I come back to always for myself is the bigger and bigger we get, the more and more I realize why they say it's lonely at the top in a sense. Mm-hmm. It's not because I think if it's lonely at the top, it's because you've done a really bad job bringing people with you. So it shouldn't be lonely at the top. Like you should bring people along with you. But the reality of it is that when you're at the top and truly where you need to be, guess where you're at? You're in the unknown.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the unknown, if you're not nervous constantly, then you're probably not pushing yourself. I mean, literally before we jumped on this podcast, we were talking about the idea of the mindset of staying broke. And it's like the concept there is that when you have a bunch of money in your bank account, you get lackadaisical, you get apathetic, you get comfortable, and comfort's the enemy of progress, as everybody knows.
True.
And so what do I come back to for myself of leading an organization, working with people, is that I constantly got to be uncomfortable. And in order to be uncomfortable, you have to be investing in yourself. And everybody hears it said mind, body, spirit, right? And some people add soul there, but I'm mind, body, spirit. And every single time where I am at a place where I can't make a decision, paralysis by analysis, or I'm down and out, I guarantee you, it is because I have not been feeding my mind, my body, and my spirit. It is that simple. It comes down to, it's whether I'm not eating healthy, not exercising, I'm not investing in my knowledge, going to masterminds, reading books, because I get lazy just like everybody else. I don't want to read the book or whatever it is, because I really actually don't like reading. I force myself to read. And then spirit, like I'm more and more these days realizing, gosh, man, I was asked today on an interview, they said, what's the best piece of advice that you were ever given? And what was the worst? And the best piece of advice I was ever given was, you have to know where your identity comes from. If you don't know where your identity comes from, you are literally tossed in the wind like a leaf by everybody else's opinion of your identity. So I'm going to be a chameleon and try to be the identity that Cody wants me to be when I'm on his show. And then when I'm on the next show, I'm going to be the identity of that person. And you end up going nowhere. You're a chameleon and you basically lose. And for me, like my dad's a pastor, right? And I'm a person of faith. And my true identity, I believe people's true identity comes from their creator. But once you're good with yourself, then you can help other people. You've heard the saying, you can't give from an empty cup. Right. And that starts with your identity. And so the best piece of advice I could give people leading is that you got to know who you are and you got to know what your identity is, and take that to the next level. You got to know what your company's identity is, right? You want to lead a massive organization. You can't lead by a kumbaya committee. You got to know the identity of your organization. What's the mission? What's the vision? Why do you exist? And here was something that changed the game for me, was the understanding that the greatest leaders of all time were willing to send troops into battle that they knew would die. And I hate that concept in one essence of, like, when you think of the Battle of D-Day, right? Normandy, thousands of people are going to die. Yeah. And that leader was willing to send people to their death for the identity, for the vision, for the mission. And it's like, man, can I be a leader that understands that the vision and the mission, that is the ultimate goal? And don't get me wrong here, people. I'm not telling you to send people to their death, but I'm telling you that that is the greatest form of leadership, is that you are in this for the purpose and the vision and the mission, that you're willing to lead even through the adversity, even through the pain. And you realize the short-term suffering ultimately achieves the long-term success. So it's just been an interesting journey. To this day, I still have to constantly go back and try to figure out and remind myself how to build confidence, but that's where I'm at today.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about that. I was listening to a podcast recently. They were talking about Elon Musk and how he laid off a ton of people at Twitter. Most people, and they're like, dude, how can you do that? Like, how are you okay with that? How does that bother you? And dude, he's like, dude, I spent, billions of dollars. I'm going to do what's best to protect the investment. Right. Exactly. And also, if I can't pay, because we're losing tons of money, he's like, if I can't pay the people I want to keep, then why wouldn't I get rid of the people that I don't want to pay the people I do want to pay, And it's like such a crazy mindset. And I'm like, dude, how many people, when they're running businesses and companies, would have the guts to do something like that, to protect the investment, to protect the company, and protect a lot of the really good people, And I'm
sometimes you got to cut off the limb to save the body.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to.
And I'm hoping I don't ever get in that point where I've got to literally, use a knife to cut off a limb to save my life, and I'm hanging off a cliff in the random middle of nowhere.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Me too.
You know what I mean? But how many people would freaking do that? And it's like, that's how, that's like, I know it's tough for some to swallow, just like the concept of that, but dude, it's it embodies a leader for sure.
And I would advocate that. I think people want to follow leaders like that. They want to follow leaders that are that strong and that are leading. Yeah. And it's hard, because you will always have the haters, you always have the dissenters, but that is what it is. If you don't have that, man, you're not doing something. You're not doing something great. It's like in cold calling, right? Because I grew this company actually with cold calling. It's like I tell my guys all the time when I'm training them, if you don't get people to hang up on you, you are definitely not pushing hard enough. If you don't get at least one pissed off person, if I don't get at least one pissed off manager, then I definitely know we're not pushing the limit, right? So it's like, if I don't get unsubscribes in my email, we're definitely not hitting the email list hard enough, right? So you got to have that balance. You don't always want to be the guy that is getting hung up on. You don't always want to have the unsubscribes. You don't want to be that. But at the end of the day, it's a balance. Life is a balance of pushing and pulling.
100%. Yep. How have you, when you talk about bringing people with you, you've done an amazing job at bringing hundreds of amazing people along with you in this Reminder Media empire you are building. And how have you done that? Like, what are some successful tips for people that are listening? Like, man, I want an amazing team. I want a ton of people around me. I want to build a big company. I'm tired of doing it alone. Like, there's so many people in insurance that are making real estate, whatever. They're making $500,000 and they're doing it all themselves, and they're control freaks, and they don't delegate, none of that. That seems that, do you think that's a separator? You know what I mean? Like, eventually adding really good people to the team?
Yeah, I've grown to know that it's like, oh, wow, one good person can shift the whole dynamic of a company, right? You had given a talk, I think, recently that talked about being the one for your family, right?
Yeah.
You can think about the same concept of like one person comes along and changes the whole family destiny, right? The whole family line. Same thing comes along in your business. Like, I was cheap in the beginning, man. I tell people, don't be cheap today. It's like, man, I'll spend the money. I'll pay $1 million a year for somebody to join my team if it's the right person, because they'll make me that back in tenfold. What I find, and I'm still learning this is what has worked for me, is, Ed Milet said, your vision has to be big enough to fit the vision of other people in your vision. So if Cody Askins is going to join in on my vision has to be big enough that you can achieve the vision of your life inside the vision that I have. So in order to be a leader at a high level that has a lot of people under you, you have to have just a massive vision. But I would take that a step further that goes, I believe as humans, man, we were created to create impact and to have legacy, to do things that transcend profit, right? You want a business of purpose, not a business of profit. You want to bring people along with you, give them purpose, give them meaning that transcends the money in their bank account, the title that they'll receive, the things that they'll get in accolades in their career. Give them something that they can look back at, that they can share with their friends, their family, their kids, and be proud of the impact that they're making in the world, and be proud of the fact that, hey, I'm part of a movement. People want to be part of a movement, and not some fake movement, a movement that they actually believe in. And so you have to find, like, I think it was Steve Jobs that said, what do you want to sell sugar water the rest of your life to the Pepsi CEO to recruit him over? Meaning, hey, we're changing lives here. So it's like your vision has to be big enough, but it also has to be a vision that's greater than profit. It has to be a vision that has purpose. And from that purpose, you'll get profit. But I find that the how do I say it? It's like the producer levels, people are driven by profit. At the highest levels, people are driven by freedom and purpose. And it's like that at my level today is what I'm trying to figure out how to do, is to attract, not to be funny, to attract the Cody Askins of the world that go, man, how do I, get with people like you to extend my vehicle so we can go further together? And I have found that being focus on purpose, focus on changing lives. And from that, you make just a crap ton of money, but it's really about purpose.
I'm on with that, man. I love that. You mentioned something recently that I loved. I forget when you shared it with me. You talked about the person in charge of HR for Netflix and like the high performance team, something like that. What was it again? I love that.
Yeah, this was a game changer for me because I'm in a family business. So my cousin's in the business, my brother's in the business, my uncle's in the business.
Jeez.
My dad was in the business at one point. So it's kind of a family affair. And we used to run it like, hey, we're a family. We're we care about each other, and everybody would say this is a family. We're family oriented, all this stuff. And I learned from the Netflix CEO or HR director that came in, that was brought in by the CEO of Netflix, that they came in and said, no, we're not a family company, because Netflix had the same kind of philosophy and said, no, we're a high performance team, and you don't fire your family. You can't get rid of your family, but you fire people on a high performance team. And they compare it to like a basketball team. There's going to be star players that get the most playing time, that get paid the most. There's going to be people who are supporting cast that are there to support the star players. There's going to be people that are sitting on the bench as backups. There's going to be people that are cut from the team. You're a high performance team. And that was a huge shift, not only in mindset, but a huge shift in implementation for our organization. It was one of the greatest things that we did, was started getting away from this idea that we're a family company. Yes, we love people, but hey, we're a high performance team. We're here to win a Super Bowl. We're here to win a championship. And so I want to play with winners. And I find that winners want to play with winners. And so that's the environment that we try to create, a non-cutthroat winning organization.
Yes. And you guys have, speaking of the winning organization, you have an amazing winning organization in Reminder Media. For those that don't know, what is Reminder Media?
Yeah. So if you are looking for a way to stay top of mind, to get your brand out there, because you've heard Zig Ziglar say you got to get known, like, and trusted to ultimately what? Get business, to get referrals, to get people to renew with you in their policies. That's what we do. So we provide insurance agents, real estate agents, mortgage professionals, the best touch points to send to their database to stay top of mind. Our flagship product that most people probably know us for is your very own customizable magazine. So maybe you've seen American Lifestyle Magazine or Start Healthy Magazine out there.
Or
We
Business
create
in
a
Action.
48-page, Business in Action is another one. We have a bunch of different titles. But in essence, it's basically we create a 48-page coffee table publication for your business. So your agency can now send it to your leads, send it to your database of current clients to get renewals, referrals. We find it to be insanely effective because the unique value prop of Reminder Media is most people, when it comes to starting a business, what they do is they start their business and then they do transactional marketing. So they have a product to sell, a service to offer, and they go out to the world and they want to scream that to the world. They want to get known, like, and trusted, so people buy that service and purchase that product.
Yeah.
The problem with that is consumers need your product and service 1% of the time in their life, if that, right? If you think about just real estate using a comparable market, average person buys every 11 years. So every 11 years, they need you to help them buy or sell real estate, but you market to them for the 11 years like they need to buy and sell today. So what happens? The consumer tunes you out. So apply that to insurance. You market to the person like they need insurance every single day, but they're not thinking about insurance. They don't need insurance every single day. And you're hammering that home. And you never pierce the veil. You never get into the mind share because the content is not impactful. It's not relevant. Reminder Media's value prop is, hey, why don't you market to people using the 99% of life that they live every single day? Food, art, travel, lifestyle, things that they're into, that they're enjoying. And when you do that, it's almost like a Trojan horse, right? You remember that story of the Trojan horse, right? Medieval times, they go in with the horse, which is like a gift, and they end up having troops inside. You go in with a magazine that's totally lifestyle driven. Travel, art, food, people set it on their coffee table. You're like the Trojan horse. There you are inside their kingdom now, sitting on their coffee table, constantly your brand in their face. And we find the average person keeps it for 4 weeks. The average referral rate is 58% over the course of 12 months. The average consumer is 78% influenced to do repeat business with the person that sends it. But I tell people this is that I'm not in the magazine business, even though I print tens of millions of magazines, right? If a pen becomes the secret to helping business owners keep in touch with their audience. So if they send pens to them all day long, and that's what's going to get them known, like, and trusted to produce referral, repeat business, and new business. Hey man, I'm going to be in the pen business. I'm going to make the best freaking pens you have ever seen. We have just found that the magazine as a tool has just been unbelievable as a way to make impact and stand out. And we hear it every single day. I just did a webinar before I got on this with you, and the testimonials we hear of people who send this out, they're like, this is the one thing I send where I actually get people that respond. And that's really been our claim to fame. And it's actually kind of still blows me away after well over a decade of doing this, that it has been just as effective as it has been.
Crazy. What's some of the some of the feedback and testimonials for those that are like, you know what, I'm sending out a magazine, getting referrals. They're like, you know what, I never thought about that, but it must be working. They're doing tens of millions of it, right? And they're doing it, you know, and they're working with a lot of my relationships and our network in the industry. They really are, and we get a lot of positive feedback. You know, my dad's actually going to be renewing again to use it for like some seminar invites inside of it, which Andrew was mentioning you can do. I didn't even know that. I'm like, man, what can this not do? You know?
What's crazy is like one of the things that I tell people, the beautiful thing about a magazine is because it's not just like a flyer or a postcard or an email, you're able to trigger what's called like reciprocity in psychology. So reciprocity, we all know, when someone does something nice to you, gives you a gift, what do you want to do? You want to thank them. You want to do something back. So the magazine, because it's 48 pages, it's coffee table quality, people perceive it as a gift. They perceive it as what's called an item of value. So what's really neat is you can trigger reciprocity, and you can use the magazine to trigger reciprocity. So a huge avenue of like strategy that our agents use is utilize the magazine to do partnerships. So if you're an insurance agent right now, you need to be a local connector. So you need to know the local financial advisor or multiple, the local real estate agent or multiple, the local title, the local mortgage. We all know them, right? They're all in our communities. You need to be partnered with them. How do you do it? Well, most people do it the exact same way. Hey, let's, be synergistic. Let's share referrals. Do something for them before you ask them to do anything for you. Go to them and say, hey, I'd love to advertise you in my magazine to my database. I love to put you in there on the back cover. It's total reciprocity, totally free. Hey, I want to support you. My brother, he's a big time real estate agent, top 1% in the nation. His first year in the business, he took it to his landscaping company and said, hey, I want to partner with you. I want to feature you guys in my magazine. In exchange for that, they blasted him out to their 10,000 person list that they had and put him on their road sign. And he ends up closing his 35 deals in his first year. The average agent today only does like 7 deals a year. And he did 35 in his first year. Last year, he did 220 deals. The point I'm trying to make with this is that when you use it to trigger reciprocity and connect, we get so many testimonials because you got to be that local connector, that local influencer.
Yes. Yes. And if they're like, you know what, I'm interested. I want to hear more. Where do they go? Where do we send them?
So best place to go is remindermedia.com. So you can go to remindermedia.com. We service 142 different industries, but our main ones are real estate, insurance, and financial advising. So that's really where our specialty is. So work with thousands of insurance agents, thousands of real estate, thousands of mortgage. But you can go there. You can get your hands on a sample. We'd love to talk to you. You can also connect with me at Luke Acree. So if you go to Instagram, you can connect with me. I'd love to answer any questions you have on what we're doing or even just marketing in general. I tell people all the time, I really get a lot of joy out of helping people in their business from a marketing standpoint or trying to help them avoid a lot of the mistakes that I have made in hiring and firing and trying to build a company. So I'd love to connect with you at Luke Acree.
Well, they're also too, for those that are listening, like the Reminder Me has been involved in 8% for years. Luke will be on stage this year at a part of 8%. He'll also be on stage at SWAT with Nate, my buddy Nate's event here in a couple of weeks. Like he's all over the place, was on stage at a part of 1% in Arizona. Spoke to power players, right? Like we're doing a lot together. Love the relationship. Grateful for everything you guys are doing. I did want to mention too, before we go, like I wanted to kind of pick your brain about the podcast, right? So you've got Stay Paid. You've done it, I think you said like 500 episodes. I believe that more insurance agents and business owners need their own podcast. What do you think about that?
I would say not if you're going to be generic, but yes, if you have a niche. Yes, if you have something that's a specific audience you're going for, and you have a specific way you're going to use it to build relationships. I think one of the issues or fears I have for content creators today is that everybody's doing the same type of content from, I'm talking like podcasting and like Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm going to be real. It's going to be hard to beat you. You're great personality, really talented at this, right? So for them to be able to beat you in views, take the mind share that you're going to get, like, and I'm just using you as an example, but take anybody, it's going to be really hard unless you are niche based. So let me give you an example. So I had to do estate planning. The way my estate planning attorney and financial advisor won me over is through a podcast. They had a podcast specifically for high net worth individuals on how to avoid taxes and how to do estate planning. And I bet you they get very little views. I bet you they get hardly any. I didn't ask them, but probably hardly any views, hardly any listens. But guess what they get? They get accounts. And that's what truly matters. They get to meet the business owners. And that was their tactic. After they presented to me, they said, hey, I want to send you an episode of our podcast where we talked about this exact thing in more detail that I'm trying to share with you, this strategy of trust and stuff like that we're putting together. And they sent me that. And I go, that is a golden strategy, is having a niche topic that you're talking on to be able to use it in your marketing. And then the second area, and this is where it's helped me and you probably the most, is relationships. Man, I meet some of the coolest people on the face of the planet getting to literally interview them on my podcast. Amen. So I would do it for relationships and using it in my drip more than I would even the viewership and the audience listening. Who cares if no one listens? I can use it for credibility from that standpoint. True.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I love that answer. Makes perfect sense. And I have actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I've had that happen a bunch where I actually I had to start vetting who I get on a podcast with, because it was like, dude, every time I got on, they were like pitching me something, you know, because
Yep.
it's like a phenomenal way to like meet people. Now, obviously, you got to do it the right way, like you're talking about. But it's interesting how that works. And everybody wants to be on podcasts. Everyone wants to be on YouTube channels and be seen and known. And they want, you know, the best tool for generating referrals and repeat business, which is Remindermedia, you know.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Dude, I love that. I love that. I'm looking at the site. Like, that's such a good tagline, man. The best tool for generating referrals and repeat business. So good.
Yep.
So good. I mean, that's what we all want. You know, that's
Yep.
what we all want. Well, Luke,
It's the easiest deals to work with. It's the
dude,
ones you already have and the ones they refer you to.
yes. Yes. What have we not mentioned that you would like to share or talk through today before we wrap up our
No, yeah, I would just remind people that you want to win in today's world, today's environment, as the shifting economy. It's back to the basics. Like relationships win. Relationships are the currency of business. And here's the problem that most people have. Like I just finished 75 hard, right? So Greg, actually, our mutual connection, inspired me to do it. This guy, Greg Birch, Gregory
He was
Birch,
a
follow him. Just freaking beast.
bro.
But he inspired me to do it. So I did 75 hard. And you know what I realized in that is that, yeah, Luke, you're consistent. You've built a huge company. You would consider yourself consistent. You don't have any consistency, brother. Like I did 75 hard and realized what consistency is. Like do 75 days straight of 100 cold calls. Do 75 days straight of posting multiple times on social media. And I'm speaking to myself here. It's like everybody has this type of consistency. I go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. You know, I post on Instagram 2 to 3 times a week. That's the consistency that we all have. It's you realize, man, the compounding effect of doing something every single day, no matter what, rain or shine, no matter how you feel. And so my challenge to you, to tie it back to what I opened with, is get back to the basics. Do 75 days of reaching out to your relationships. I tell people, man, the biggest hack I try to teach people is a 5 for 5. Take 5 minutes a day, pick 5 people in your database, and shoot them a personal text message, shoot them a personal video message, and you will be blown away what will happen in your business, happen in your life. Just by, don't sell them anything. Thinking about you today, man, let's grab coffee soon. Cody, hey man, let's catch up. We haven't seen each other in a while. Hope you're doing well. Happy Memorial Day. Happy whatever holidays around the corner. You know, that is really where it's at. Get back to the basics. You'll win in 2023.
I need to add that. And I love that you're mentioning that because I've actually really started to learn how inconsistent I even was before, you know, like with this whole thing. I think you've probably seen it on my social where I've got like this Trello app and I'm doing like eight things every day, you know, goals, prayer, cold shower, video, plank, protein, steps, push-ups, you know, push-ups at 135 days. But it's, dude, like I've been working out since November of 2018. People are finally commenting like, dude, you're putting a little bit of muscle on. I'm like, dude, 4 months in a row of freaking push-ups, you know, like
we'll do it to you.
About time somebody noticed, right? I'm like, dude, I've been working out for freaking 4.5 years, but I didn't get, you know, I didn't get anywhere until I really started doing it consistently and adding it, you know. So it's cool you mentioned that, like it works. I need to add the little I've been looking for something else to add. I'm kind of getting bored. So you know what? I like the 5x5 idea. That's really
that's 5x5, man. It's hard to do, but it's critical.
Yeah. I think the biggest question people would have is like, where do you find the names of 5 people every day? You know?
Yeah, well, that's the first basics that you gotta do, right? You know, hardest part about my business, I'll sign up 100 people, and I'm lucky to get 85 of them to give me a list to send the magazine to. And I actually have a team of 17 people that all they do all day is hound people to get them to get their names and addresses. The fundamental thing you need in business, which is a database. Your net worth is your network. You heard that saying before. The value of your business is your client base.
Crazy.
Then it's insane. But here's why, because people don't do the little things well. No. So if you don't have your names and addresses right now, don't cry about it. Beat yourself up enough to change. Literally, what do you have of them? Do you have their Instagram? Do you have their Facebook? Do you have a number, a phone number? Do you have an email address? Reach out to them. And I tell people to just literally say, Cody, hey, man, I wanted to send you a card. I wanted to add you to my list. I like to send holiday cards out. I want to send you a card, but I realized I don't have your address. Would you mind shooting me your address? And just do simple text like that. You don't have to overthink it. I overthink pretty much everything, but you don't have to overthink it. You can literally just hit the list and tell people, okay, and get it into an Excel doc, into a CRM preferably, Excel doc, CRM, and build your list. And then use that to do your 5 for 5. Very least, you can create friends list on Facebook. So you can go to your Facebook right now. You have 500 people you friended, 1,000 people, whatever you have. You can go and Facebook gives you this really cool option to build list, and you can build friend list on there. And that's how you can do your 5 for 5. You go to your Facebook every morning. Birthdays is an obvious one to use. Who has a birthday today? Do something specific for them. Don't just comment on their wall, happy birthday. Actually shoot a video for them or write something sincere. So easy way to stand out. And then look at their feeds of your friends list. Cody, he's doing an event. Luke, he just got back from vacation or just had a kid. Whatever, you'll see, because people post the pictures. They post on it. And then you can literally text them on that. You can chat them on that. And the financial advisor that won me over, that's how he won me over. The insurance person that does my property casualty for my company, that's how they won me over. Was commenting and continuing just to follow up and connect me with people. And that's how they won me over.
It's awesome. It's really smart. It's been fun and crazy. You mentioned about how like you're lucky to get 85% to send you a list. Like we do, we'll help people with social media and video, and like, it's hard to get them to send us any content at all. And I'm like, dude, it's kind of hard to manage your social without anything to show you, period. It's crazy.
Dude, that's why we got to partner up, man. I have thousands of pieces of social content that your people can use. Yeah, that's why people are looking for social content. I got thousands of pieces that we do.
Let's go.
For people right now. Yep.
I love it, man. That's phenomenal. Dude,
take
you're awesome.
Your coaching, our content, man, magic happens.
Boom.
See, you didn't know you were going to get pitched on your own podcast, did you? Well, they say always be closing, right? Always,
dude. And
like
I am the easiest person to sell to. Like I literally bought electric car without knowing it was electric. Like I'm that guy.
Dude. You said it the other day. It's like, it's basically, if you're not willing to sell your product, why would anybody else? Like, if you're not willing to be basically shameless about your product. Yeah. And that goes back to, let's tie it full circle. I told you my best advice is your identity, the identity of your business. Man, get good with your identity, because if you're not willing to promote, means you don't believe in the identity of what you're trying to bring to the table.
Yeah.
You don't believe in it. You got to get good with yourself, because then you will go, no matter what the haters say, you're not a leaf in the wind. You don't care about what they say your identity is. You care what you say your identity is.
100%. Most people play business. They don't promote. Yeah, you're 1,000%. I could talk for hours. You're so good. I love hanging out. You're a beast.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always.
Yeah. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for being on.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Luke. Thank you guys for listening to Power Player Podcast. If you love this, man, give it a like, give it a comment, and say Luke is a machine. And go check out Remindermedia. Check out what they're doing. Come hang out with them at 8% or an event coming soon. Thanks for listening to Power Player Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Adios.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Okay, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.